morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Reach Podcast radio show. Been off for a little bit, but today is our first episode back. I appreciate everybody inquiring about when I was going to come back and looking for the show to return. So here it is. Today I have in studio a wonderful guest. This month is National Women's History Month. So all this month we're going to be dedicating the show to a bunch of amazing women that we have and people that I know and have come across. So today is the inaugurational episode of the Women's History Month, and I have in studio with me, your name, ma'am?
LaKisha Green.
Miss Keisha Green, Dr. LaKisha Green, Dr. LaKisha Green, and we're going to hear all about her story and the things that she has going on. But also, it's just a time to reflect on the things that have come about over the history of time and the things that women have set in place and the reasons behind the women movement. As y'all know, I always try to make my show tied to men, but the thing about it is that this actually does tie to the men as well. But also, it's another way for me to pay homage to the wonderful women of the community and the things that they've done. So I didn't want to give too much information. Keisha, I will allow you to again tell everybody your accolades and what your resume is looking like. Tell them what you have going on. But I will say, before today, she's the cake lady. She's the cake lady. But no, tell them a little something about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a mother. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own and operate Epiphanies Dessert Studio. I'm an educator, a doctorate in education. What else? I think that sums it up.
That sums it up. That's a short summary. That's how you're going to do it today?
I'm modest, but yeah.
So I'm going to just read what you sent to me. So I'm like, hey, send me a little short bio of the things, because I make the flyer and, do everything that I need to do. And I'm trying to scroll to it here on my phone. So I'm going to reintroduce Miss Dr. LaKisha Brown, mother of three, single parent, entrepreneur, owner of the Epiphanies Dessert Studios for 13 years. Doctorate in education, research study, holistic interventions for learning challenged youth in faith-based schools, educated for 5 years, high-functioning autistic students, middle and high school, other students with learning challenges, algebra, consumer math, and culinary arts. And then kindergarten for 1 year, and then she's also a mentor to these same students who strive to be maybe a chef or a baker or something like that, culinary arts students, and also she provides internship for these students as well. And then a former nurse for 11 years, maternal child healthcare for 7 years. So that's a far stretch from what she said. But like I told her, I don't know, which area do you want to talk about first? Because I just like to elaborate. So for me, the point of this show is, of course, to give people information and let them know what they can strive toward and the things that other people are doing in the world today. So I mean, just whatever touches your heart, whatever you feel's most important. Because otherwise, I'm gonna just pick on you. I'm gonna just have you talk about something.
Well, we can do that route too. But I think what's most important to me right now is probably the education component. Me being an educator, that's what I'm most passionate about, and also about entrepreneurs.
Right. So that's what I'm excited about. I mean, not only did you make some cakes for me on several occasions in the past, but talk about that journey and, to whatever capacity that you like to talk about the struggle, the consistency, the determination, to get you to the point that you are now and to have all these clients. I don't know if can I speak on the contract at all or what? No. Okay, we ain't gonna speak on that. She has an amazing opportunity. I don't want to speak on that prematurely, but there's an amazing opportunity that she has been offered. But we'll talk about that in due time. But let's talk about the Epiphanies Dessert Studio. What about the name? Let's talk about that first.
Okay, so Epiphany, an epiphany is a great realization, and I pride myself on the taste of my desserts. More so than the appearance, although they do look nice. I strive for that too.
Yes.
But when I consult with my clients to start to produce and order or make their dessert realization come to life, I feel like once I present it to them, there is the epiphany. And so that's one component of where the name came from. And everything that I do is rooted in Jesus Christ. And so he's also our epiphany. And so that's why I named it Epiphanies.
Okay. That's I never knew that, but that's a good deal. And I can attest to that testimony too, because I mean, she puts her heart and soul in every product that she makes. What are some of the products? I guess let's talk about how they can find you, where they can find you, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Sure. So my website is epiphaniesdesserts.com. On Instagram, I'm Epiphanies with an underscore. And on Facebook, it's just Epiphanies. And Twitter is Epiphanies Treats.
Okay. All right. And then what is your specialty? Do you have a specialty? I know everything good, but what is your specialty? What do you want people to call you to make? What do you like to get out there?
I consider myself a buttercream artist. There's a lot of amazing bakers that I collaborate with and this, that, and the other, but everyone uses different mediums, and so my medium of choice is buttercream. So I create art out of buttercream. So I believe that's like my number one. That's the staple.
Yeah.
Even from the flavor, because that's a cake flavor, and also the medium as far as the frosting that I use, as well as I have candles that are buttercream, scented, and I'm selling the flavor and everything. So I would say buttercream.
Okay. It's killing me how modest you've been, but that's a good thing. Having witnessed this, you just like, But anyway, y'all need to get in contact with LaKisha Green for your baking needs. But I've been knowing you for a while. You went to what high school did you go to?
Willow Ridge.
Willow Ridge, Willow Ridge alumni. Been knowing Keisha forever, and I've had the chance to be in your storefront. I've had the chance to come to your home. I've had the chance to just visit with you on a couple occasions that you've been at, to watch you in action, as they would say, to watch you do what you do. And, it's pretty interesting. It takes a lot of dedication, and, you're very self-disciplined, I guess I would say. What are the things that it would take for somebody to get to the status of where you're at? What kind of character traits would you say?
I would say consistency. Consistency. Well, first, before we even get to consistency, just deciding and making the choice to go ahead and step out on faith to do whatever it is you're wanting to do, and that's what has been rooted into every decision that I made, even the decision to pursue a doctorate and to go off and teach kindergartners for 1 year, and to pursue principalship and different things. I always say we have to have the mindset to go ahead and step out on faith first. But once you do that and you find your talent, your gift, or whatever that is, consistency.
Okay. And so you've obviously mastered this whole baking thing. So I guess we can segue into the education part and what that means to you, because as far as I know, baking was first. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how does that relate to what you did or what you do to segue into the whole educational field? How did that work for you?
Well, over the years, I've had a lot of people who have similar interest in either entrepreneurship or into baking, period, just wanting to add some different skills to their craft or talents or whatever the case may be. So then I started training and accepting students who were from the Art Institute, doing internships and stuff like that. And it also was a benefit to me because then I didn't have to necessarily hire out an assistant. I could work with someone who's just as passionate about what it is I'm doing and wants to get to a different level. So that's where the education component came in. And then I said, well, I also need something to fall back on if ever this, I get tired of this, or if I just to do something else. And I'm most passionate about giving back. So that's where it came from.
Okay. And before we get too far away from the baking, I know my sister Mika Diamond is watching. She was here earlier doing her show. She has an event that she wants to use you for. So Mika, I said it. She's here. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. It's an event coming up, Ribbons in the Sky. She wants you to, we'll talk about what you can do for that event. It's a cancer event where they're honoring all different types of cancers and stuff. That's going to be happening in April. But we'll definitely talk about that. So with the the education aspect of what you're doing now, talk about the transition and I know you had to take a retreat and you had to go and, you know, just like sit back and really focus on that. Talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, sure. I just came back from what's called a residency / writing retreat, intensive writing retreat, where you can just surround yourself with like-minded, you know, other educational doctors and like-minded individuals who can foster more ideas and also just partner up with you on whatever you're researching, whatever you're writing about. And I found that to be very beneficial for me because sometimes we get writer's block. As writers, we get writer's block. So that sparked my, ignited my fuel again to get back into my writing, my research.
Okay, that's good.
So I have a deadline to come.
Deadline to meet, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I can understand that. So the experience with the younger kids, how was that for you? Was that like what you chose, or was that like what you had to do? What was
yes,
that?
that was a choice.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely, and I enjoyed working with. So I'll talk about my passion and my study of research is attuned to high functioning autistic students or those with learning challenges. I myself have a son that was my youngest son was born developmentally delayed, born early, and I worked with him. I was practicing nursing at this time, but I worked with him all throughout. Even still now, he's in college, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
But his mental delays and his social delays, and some other delays that he had, where the therapist came in to handle those things. But as far as the social and the education part of it, I developed a passion towards that because I saw how well they were helping my son. So I was like, well, I want to get back in that way too. And he has never, thank goodness, he's never had to be on medications or anything like that. It was all therapy. So that's where the holistic part of what I do comes into. And I've always, all of my education or my educational background is in faith-based schools or Christian private schools. And so that's where that part comes from. So I decided to go to some of the private Christian schools and see where there was a need, and an opportunity presented itself in my search, and it just linked up just like that. And you know, it was just an amazing experience to be able to teach middle school and high school for 5 years, those high functioning autistic students and those with learning challenges. And I've made some really great connections with the families and stuff like that. And even still after I was no longer teaching at that particular school, they hired me to do private tutoring or cooking lessons and stuff like this. So we developed a bond, and I just feel like they're the most humble, but also forgotten about sometimes. Because once they finish high school, there are little to no programs available to help these kinds of students go on into life and to learn life skills and to make it. Yeah. And so that was where my passion was rooted in, you know, trying to create something where, okay, if they won't hire you or if they can't hire you, create your own
Create
job.
your own lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that seems to be something that's continuous on my show with the people that I talk to, is that nowadays creating your own lane is so important. I mean, it's always been important, but just to carve out your own path so that way you're not forgotten about, you're not overlooked, because the one thing that we find is that you're not alone. You know, there's always somebody that can jump in the lane that you carve out, or that you can jump into a lane that somebody's trying to start. But it's just important that people just step up and step out, you know, to do that. And then I'm sure you're making all the birthday cakes for them too. So yeah, no, that's very interesting. So with the mentorship, are you only taking interns as far as mentoring? No. What are you doing in regards to that? How does that work?
It's wide open. Any age group, anyone who expresses a need or, you know, a desire to want to learn more about the business or about entrepreneurship or anything, any of the facets that I have knowledge about, I'm more than willing to mentor and share, you know, the information. Okay. And so again, they can just reach out to you, you know, on social media. What is the best way to reach you? Email is the best way.
Okay.
Which my email address is epiphaniestreats@yahoo.com.
Spell that for me.
EPIPHANIES treats TREATS @yahoo.com.
Gotcha. So that's just a little bit about everything that she does. I don't know if you want to mention your son's names. I've had a chance to kind of meet and brush shoulders with them a few times. What are they doing? I know that she's raised some awesome young men.
Thank you.
What are they doing?
Yes, I am most proud of my sons. So I have 3 sons. The oldest one, he is a property manager, and he's also in real estate. My second oldest son, or my next son, he plays for Alcorn State University. He's won a few SWAC championships, and he's got a few rings, so I'm proud of that too with him. And my youngest swag
now, heavy, ain't he? I know he is.
And my youngest son, he's at Sam Houston. He's taking the business route, so he's a business major, and he also has a little business that he's trying to start up, and I'm there, in the shadows trying to help him, but also let him navigate his own way, because during the summers he used to work for me at my different locations, or just work for me wherever I set up at. And I think he picked up a love for it and some skills and stuff as well.
Yeah. So they've all learned off mom. Come close. They've all learned from mom and have kind of like carved out their own way, as we were stating earlier. And then what is the reward for you as a mother, having 3 young men that are young adults now? What is the ultimate reward for you?
The ultimate reward is when I see them go through situations, like normal growing pain situations, and then they come back to me and tell me how they solved that situation with the little nuggets that I've given, and when I thought they weren't listening, or when I thought it went in one and I thought. So I feel like that's most rewarding and fulfilling to me as a parent.
Right.
To hear those things repeated back to me, or to know that they use those skills.
Yeah. So. That's good. And then also in those times when you might need assistance or you want their help, you can call them up, they can come and help you whenever they're in town or whatever the case may be. It's always something that's good. The thing for me that stands out is with the education of the younger kids, right? So going back to that part, when the kids are autistic and they have learning challenges, what different traits or characteristics or whatever you would name it would you say is the most important for someone to possess dealing with an autistic kid?
The most important trait is to teach to the student whatever their strength is or whatever their challenge is. We don't focus necessarily on the challenge. We let the clinical professionals do that, but we focus more on whatever their strength is, and and embody that, and just try to create something that's both fun and also educational, so that way that they can pick up on it and want to have the desire to continue and not get frustrated.
Yeah. And to, I guess, to express what they pick up the most, and to help them hone and elaborate on that skill is kind of a big thing with that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So what do you have going on as far as with the company? Any expansions, any new adventures that that you're doing that you can publicize?
Yes. Okay. So I am getting ready to open a second location. Right now it's strictly online because I'm getting some things, changing some things around. What else is going on? Professorship. So I'm getting ready to start that. That probably won't happen until next year, once I'm done with my research and stuff like that. But mostly just creating more opportunities for more jobs and more opportunities for that demographic, those autistic students or those coming out of culinary arts school and wanting to just get their feet wet. It's a safe place to make mistakes and to learn from me.
Okay. And it was something that I saw, I don't know when it was exactly, because now, I've seen it in passing and wasn't able to go back, locked out of my Facebook account for my viewers. That's why you haven't seen me on Facebook. I'll be back in sometime very soon. But there was a show or something you went to and you had a bunch of jars with the Epiphanies. Talk about that.
Okay, so that is a series that I was asked to be a part of.
Okay.
And it's over the power of pain from a published author. So that'll be coming out in April. So I think that's kind of like the gist of what I can say about that.
Okay.
But I was able to, I was on a panel with a few other bakers, local bakers from Houston, a couple from Willow Ridge, and we were able to showcase what we do and just talk about her book. Her name is Colin Turner Brown, Power of Pain. And yeah, so I'm excited to see what it all is. It's not finished yet. But
Okay. All right. So that was a series. See, I wasn't even aware of that. I thought it was something that, so you can't really give too much on that. I understand.
Right.
I wouldn't even brought it up. But no, so I saw that part, the little bit that was posted. So we'll definitely, do you know exactly when in April it'll come out, or?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I was told that it's the beginning of April.
Okay. All right. So y'all stay locked into her. So want to kind of segue over into the Women's History Month. You know, and then if there's anything that, you know, you would like to share in regards to that, of course, do that. But of course, the theme to just for the listeners who may or may not know what we're speaking on, let me just pull up what I gathered from reading up on it and doing, you know, a little looking into it. So it started back in 1977 is when the whole Women's History Month started with the International Women's Day being recognized, and I think that's March 8th. Forgive me if I'm misspeaking on that. But in 1995, each president was issued an annual proclamation designating the month of March as Women's History Month. The National Women's History Alliance selects and publishes the yearly theme. The 2020 Women's History Month theme is the Valiant Women of the Vote. The theme honors the brave women who fought to win suffrage rights for the women and for the women who continue to fight for the voting rights of others. So this year is all about the vote. There's been a few things that I've been a part of. We had an African American history. The theme was the vote as well. What does the theme and what does Women's History Month mean to you?
Women's History Month. Well, for me, it just means self-love. You know, I feel like it starts there, you know, with regard to anything that we're gonna accomplish, achieve, or do. And so once we master that part of it, then I feel like we're unstoppable.
Right.
And I'm speaking about us as women, because I feel like there's limited amount of or not enough self-love.
Right.
And so personally, that's what I'm working on, and I'm seeing the benefits of it.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. No, you ain't battling with no self-love. Stop it. No, I understand. Everybody has their thing that they deal with. And so what do you say in regards to self-love? What do you think women have to recognize and understand, whether it's from a personal or just a place you're trying to get to, whatever you think is the thing? What do you think is important about trying to reach that pinnacle?
I would say just knowing yourself first and foremost. Knowing yourself and accepting, you know, wherever you are in that moment. You have to, you know, start there. And then decide on what you want your life to look like, what you want loving yourself to look like, whatever it is, you know, you feel like you want to do. We just have to, you know, focus on coming to the realization of things.
Epiphany.
An epiphany, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had several of those here recently.
Right.
But yes.
Right. So with the women's right and their ability to vote and make decisions, you know, the uprise of the women's movement, you know, is there any thing that stands out, or any organizations that, you know, you would like to connect with, or, you know, even provide services as far as the baking?
I'm open to, you know, I'm always looking for places where I can, you know, offer my services, or, you know, give my talents over. Yeah. So I'm open to any organizations, any women's organizations that, you know, that want or need my services.
Okay, cool. So for me, when I think about the women's right and the things and the suffrage that the older people fought for, and the legends, as we would call them, of our time, you know, it's just coming to the light, I guess, of how important it is for us to treat women with equality, you know, and to understand that everybody has a place. Now, I always say, dealing with my movement that chronicles that the men have to step up, you know, and start to lead and be the head, and that women wouldn't necessarily have to do a lot of the things that they're doing. So, and what I mean by that is, like, the way I see it is not everything, but some of them. So take this lightly, right? Is the forcefulness from the women's side to have to step up, and the key word is to have to step up, right? And get themselves in a position, because there's not enough men taking the forefront and doing what they need to do. So what is your opinion in regards to the fine line to what I see it as being is the rights of women, and then the women's movement to empower themselves? How would you relate that?
Well, I share your thoughts on that. I'm a little bit different. Yep. So I strongly value the role of the man, and I'm aware of the absence of the role of the man as a leader in the Black family, in the family period. Mm-hmm. You know, and if we take a look at other cultures and races and what they value, you know, the male role or the father role plays a major significant part. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel like sometimes in our culture, even in Black culture, it's minimized, right? Or it's not present enough, right? For whatever reason, whatever.
There's 1,000 of them.
Yeah, there is. Uh-huh. Yeah. And so, speaking to that personally, for me being a single mom, because I was married and then I got divorced, so then I had to take on the role of acting as both parents. But, you know, I hold firm to this, you know, this woman cannot raise a man to be a man, mm-hmm. you know, and I firmly believe that. So I was very blessed to have, you know, different male role models in my son's life that took part in helping shape them to be who they are today, specifically big brothers and big sisters. Mm-hmm. You know, my sons were fortunate and blessed enough to always have a big brother, which is that's what they term the mentors, right. in that organization. Right. A big brother to just partner alongside of me, mm-hmm. in all the different things, the odd questions, or mm-hmm. the things that I was trying to get my sons to do when they hit that pivotal age of want to try to buck you, or want to try to challenge, you know, me as a woman first, right. and then as their mother. You know, I was able to get a lot of things across by going through their mentors, and even though they're adults now, they still have those relationships with those mentors. One of them passed away, but the other ones, they still have those relationships with them. And I'm so fortunate of that. But I mention that because that is what's missing, that mm-hmm. whole dynamic. Like, before we even start talking about like women's rights and women's, we gotta structure, you know, repair the breakdown. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a major breakdown, especially with our families and our communities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I salute you on that statement, because that can't be put any better than the way you said it, because that's how I look at it, and that's what I want my movement to be, which is the mentorship, you know, the entrepreneurship, mentoring, and just actually grassroots being there, like you said, that you're there's going to be at least one kid, and now obviously there'll be more than that, but my goal is to always have at least one kid to remember who LaVar Ellis was and the Dad Chronicles movement throughout their life, you know, and then to replace myself with other strong men who can give back and, you know, step up and do the things that they need to do, which I'm getting that now, you know, and there's men who can see it, there's women who can see it, and that's the thing. It's like, when it comes to putting things together, is the women are going to be there, you know, they're going to be there, but there's layers to everything, and the reason the women are there because they're the ones who have the youth, you know, and so it's just time that the men take that role back. But not to get too far into the men, because we're dedicating this month to the women. But the point is that everything ties together, right?
That's right.
So, you know, back to the rights of women is that women's opinion, I mean, male decisions in the right structure is always influenced by a female's voice.
Absolutely.
You know, behind every strong man is a very strong female. You know, and that's the part that if we can get like you said, putting things back together, and we can recognize the roles of everybody and everybody being equal and understanding that everybody plays a part. And when you put all the pieces to the puzzle together, it's going to make a beautiful picture.
You operate in your role
Yeah.
and play your part, the puzzle will come together.
Mm-hmm.
But
it might take years.
It might take years
but
because
it's gonna come together.
This whole generational thing and this stuff, it didn't just happen here recently. This has been years and years and years of the breakdown of the male presence,
right,
and the male role and the value.
Yeah.
You know, now, you know, society sometimes has us as women and men pitting against each other,
mm-hmm.
or comparing, and it shouldn't be a jealousy thing or a comparative thing. It should be a team thing. You know, once everybody operates in their roles.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. And, you know, even furthermore, the men need to learn more, not saying that we don't, or they don't want to, or whatever the case may be, is that we have to learn to appreciate more the woman's presence and the role, and not to use the women and to look at them as less than what they are, because it's a lot of women out here, and that's my goal this month, is to showcase women like yourself that have it going on, and it's not that, you know, we like to say you're a woman who don't need a man, right? But no, you would love a man. You know what I'm saying? You know, every successful woman will want that man to share with what she has going on, but also be able to bring something to the table and be, you know, a strong presence, you know, in her life, to be able to influence her in ways and to also be influenced by her. So we have to value the woman a little bit more, you know, and that was the thing and the theme about the voting rights, you know. So with the voting rights, what do you think? Because I'm sure there's a lot more women voting nowadays than there is women. What does the voting rights aspect of the whole monthly thing mean to you? Being able to vote and have the same.
I'm grateful for those people that came before us that provided the opportunities for us women to be able to vote, no doubt, you know. But again, everything. Like you said, there's probably more women that are available now to go and vote. So in the shadows of all of that, that's us stepping into our role, mm-hmm. and, you know, essentially like supporting the man and, you know, indirectly if we get out there and vote. Because if they're not able to because they're incarcerated or have a felony or whatever the case, mm-hmm. may be, mm-hmm. you know, wherever they are, or deceased. Okay, so now we need to do it.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it holds lots of value, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to vote.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's important. And then all of the elected officials, you know, last year was a bunch of even African-American judges that got voted in Fort Bend, even in Harris County. So it's amazing to see those things. And then the way I look at that is that, you know, if you got these women stepping into these roles and you have males who are not, I don't know if they are or not, but if they're married and they have a strong male figure in their lives, it's going to change the outlook.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to change, because if you're a female judge and all you've known is a man messing over you and playing you all their life, there's that subconscious in the back of your mind that when somebody walks in, you know how the saying goes, he ain't, you know, whatever, yeah. And they're not supposed to think that way, but psychologically that's what happens. So people just have to look beyond and below the surface of situations and understand that things have a lot bigger impact than what we realize they do, you know. And so if we can wrap our arms around these women and understand how they operate and, you know, they're emotional and, you know, all these different things, and the men just be better men, then it'll change the lifeline of us as well.
And to add
mm-hmm.
to that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
To add to that, I feel like, and this again, I tie things back to my own personal experiences, mm-hmm. like in how I raised my sons. The emotional component, like it's been my experiences too that a lot of men are emotionally detached or emotionally withdrawn, mm-hmm. or they just don't have a good emotional hygiene regimen.
Right.
Said like that, because we all have emotions, but sometimes it's better. It's been told to men to be strong, be tough, don't cry, don't don't express this, but as far as me and how I raise my sons, I taught them to express your emotion in this moment.
Right.
Love your brothers, kiss them on the cheek, give them a hug, and let them know, because you never know if that will be the last time you may see him,
right,
or whatever the case may be. But it's okay to express those emotions, because that energy has to go somewhere, as opposed to having it all bottled up or letting it displacing it somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's another key too for me is the displacement of energy. And not even just with kids, but definitely you want to start with the kid to help them understand that there's energy created. And then when there's the negative energy or sad energy or just whatever that type of energy is, to be productive by writing it down, becoming an author, becoming a poet, putting it into music. There's all kind of artistic ways that we can go about, expressing ourselves. And I try to push that as well too. And it goes right back to there's two sides to everything, and the mom normally talks about being expressive, and the dad is like toughen up a little bit, if you run and you fall, dad is going, boy, get up, brush your shoulders out, and so we have to switch it up every now and then. I'm pretty big on that. I try to, people say maybe you're confusing them. No, I feel like that's showing them there's two ways to do it, because Landon, I use him for everything. It's funny. It's like he's like I don't want to call him a research, but I just pay attention. I'm more in tune with the things that he's doing coming up. And, if he's riding his bike and he falls off, he's going to look at me. And it's like he's looking at me to see how he should react, And so if we hone in on what they're doing and how they're looking to get reaction from you, it'll change a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? If I'm looking at him like, you're going to cry, he going to keep putting on to, try to get some attention. But if you just run to him and you tell him you're going to be all right, brush it off, and you don't have to, be embarrassed or whatever the case may be, then he shapes up real quick, and he's doing it on his own, versus me pushing him to do one thing or another. That's kind of getting off subject, but anyway.
There's balance. So that right there, and then, like you said, he falls off his bike. You tell him to toughen up, get back on, and mom may come over and like try to lick the wounds and nurture and stuff like that. But we need both. Yeah. But at appropriated times.
Yeah.
So now you say he's doing it on his own without looking for dad for the approval. Like, should I, get back on something or whatever?
He's gonna look to see what dad gonna say. Is he gonna come and run and hug me because I'm hurting when really ain't nothing wrong with you? It's just funny. But no, definitely the attention that we give to the youngsters is definitely important. But
and I want to speak a little bit more on the because I'm all about holistic everything.
Absolutely.
I'm not a big advocate of medicines and stuff like that. So all of this that we're speaking about now, even with the little funny story about Landon and his bike, that's a holistic approach.
Right.
And in my study, I talk about a whole bunch of different methods and ways, because with the autistic students, we have to find creative ways to be able to reach them, whatever their delay is or whatever their situation may be. And I just feel like that what you just said, and even what mom may do, all of that is holistic. Right.
A part of the bigger solution.
Right.
Most definitely. So in closing, we have a few minutes left before I talk about some upcoming events and stuff like that. Tell them all the ways to reach you again, all your social media, phone numbers or emails or whatever.
Okay, so it's Epiphanies Dessert Studio, and I can be reached. The quickest way to reach me is via email, and it's epiphaniestreats@yahoo.com. That's EPIPHANIESTREATS@yahoo.com, or any of my social media sites. I try my best to respond to the messages and stuff like that I get on there. So my Facebook is Epiphanies, and then the Instagram is Epiphanies_, and Twitter is Epiphanies_treats.
Awesome.
Your phone number?
Yeah, if you want to give.
Okay, and you can also reach me by phone number 832-258-2584.
Okay, all right. Well, good. Miss Doctor LaKisha Green is in the building with me, man. So, no, I appreciate you taking out time out of your schedule to come And is there any closing remarks or anything that you'd like to say before, I go into the up and coming things that's going on?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm available to, even if you, just want to talk further on any of the topics we spoke about today, or you have any interest in being a mentee, just reach out to me on either of those platforms.
Okay. So y'all have heard it here. You can reach out to her. If you have aspirations to be entrepreneur, especially in the culinary arts division of it, a mentor for that same thing, and then the educational part. Maybe if people can call you for advice for autistic kids and stuff like that, or need somebody to come and talk to your kid, or whatever the case may be, you have someone here now that you can reach out to for those purposes. So again, I really appreciate you being present today and stepping in. So just we can't get off without talking about this coronavirus, man.
Okay.
I mean, this is crazy. What do you got to say about that? We wiped everything down before we got on air today.
I know, I did. Now I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I did ask him this morning. I was like,
just wipe all this.
Everything is good.
Absolutely.
Who coming in and out of there?
Right.
But as far as that, and as far as with anything, just take care of yourself first and foremost. You and your family first and foremost, I would say. And I wouldn't allow the media or different things, misinformation or the lack of information to draw me into any kind of mass hysteria or stop me from doing anything. I just wouldn't outrightly go to where there's a possibility that you may contract something, but we do that. We should be doing that on a normal basis anyway.
Absolutely.
So there may be things that we don't know, or not necessarily that they're keeping from us, but maybe they don't know as well, as this, like they keep saying, the situation is fluid. Yeah. So just keep normal practices to take care of yourself. I'm not going to stop doing anything.
Right. and we have to be, this is definitely a time to recognize for those who have always told us to be mindful of the things that we do, because that's how this has gotten out of control anyway, people just being careless. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, I want to add one more thing real quick. So
this your show.
with all of this time that we have, that we're staying inside and we're canceling vacations and this, that, and the other, do something productive. Like, call me up and I'll tell you about how to start your business. Absolutely. Or research it on your own, or read it. Take this time to read a new book. Yeah. Learn a new skill or something like that. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm all for it. I totally agree. And just be mindful. Of course, there's things that's inevitable at this point, but it didn't just get like this overnight. Right. I literally can remember them saying all the cases was in China. The next 2 days, you got all these cases in the U.S. It didn't happen overnight. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so that draws in a whole lot of other, propaganda that goes along with it. But,
everybody has a job to do.
Everybody has a job to do, for sure. So, everybody, all the listeners, man, y'all take care of yourself. Lysol, the hand sanitizer, all the things that you need to do. Take care of your family and your kids. I have somebody who sent me a list of things. I would have read that, but it's kind of long. But she went to the doctor and she sent me, here, LeVar, she's a strong supporter of my movement. She's like, here, I need you to tell all your kids to do this stuff. And I'll probably do like a live on that as well once I can get time to do that. But it's just very important that we're mindful of this situation. It is definitely a situation, and that you do everything you can to quarantine yourself if you've been infected, if you think you're infected, and to keep from becoming infected. Be mindful of all the things that you can do. So with all the closures and the cancellations and the postponement of things that was going on, is just a few events that I want to speak on that either are still happening or may get canceled or whatever the case may be. But first and foremost, I want to shout out to my new partner, Mr. Richard Burton, the chess coach and chess master over at Varnett Public School System. They had a tournament this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Marriott West Chase Hotel from 9 to 4, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That has been canceled. But I just want to send a huge shout out to him and his students that are playing chess. This guy, they've won awards and all this type of things. And I know they were looking forward to that. So I hate that had to be canceled. Also, The Nike Cy-Fair Elite Girls Basketball Team had a tournament in San Antonio. They've canceled that as well. It's just one of those things where you can't put a bunch of people in a place where you don't know who has what, as we know. Another organization I'm involved with, the Houston Peace. Shout out to Miss Stephanie Colligan and all of the partners with that event. It was called Spring into Action. It was at George R. Brown building, but then it got moved to Worthing, and we had a meeting. I want to say that was on Wednesday, and the next day they canceled the event. The mayor, no, I think that was Tuesday, I'm sorry. And then the next day they canceled the event. So with all of the cancellations, it was a City of Houston sponsored. So as we know, the City of Houston, anything that was going on with them, the events are either postponed or canceled. So that one got canceled as well. My event that I call my partnering event, partnering with Amit's Art. Shout out to Mira Teresa, Impact, Ms. Camlin, and then Float with Playboy Watts and Chase. DJ D Entertainment, myself, Dad Chronicles, Mika, Visible Evidence, and then my man Roy Dillard with Life Jackets. We have an event that I guess at this point we're still going to be doing. It's called It Takes a Village. That's going to be happening on March 2nd over in the 3rd Ward area, and that's where we bring a bunch of kids together. It's a free event, all type of activities and things that are going to be going on for the kids to experience, from literacy, painting, and they call it, guys, you have to forgive me, but art therapy is what it's called. I'm sorry, art therapy, and then also we'll be playing chess, and then we'll have different things for the kids to engage in, and then of course my man Damon with DJ D Entertainment and his wife will provide the music and microphone, doing different dance-offs and things like that. And then always got a shout out to the World Youth Foundation. Due to some unforeseen events, we had to cancel the Yip Saturday, so that has been canceled as well. Not based on the coronavirus, but just the events that happened with one of our members were not able to go out and about. And it's spring break as well, so a lot of kids, in addition to now this coronavirus, it's probably best that we didn't have that event. And then last two things is shout out to Mika for her event that's going to be happening on April 5th called Ribbons in the Sky. We were speaking on that a little bit earlier. It's in honor of all different types of cancers. As we know, there's several events for either breast cancer or prostate cancer and this and all that. But she's going to be honoring all type of cancers. So, if you know anybody that is a cancer survivor or somebody who wants to be part of the event, just get with Mika. Mika Diamond on Facebook, Instagram. You can get with her about that, or you can inbox me and I can give you the information because I am part of her, sponsor team. And then there's different organizations that's helping out with that event as well. And, we want to recognize those people. So the Ribbons in the Sky is, it's been an ongoing event, and she's going to have it at the Southside Church of Christ this year. And I will read off the sponsors. So far, we have DJ D Entertainment, Outside In Consulting, Bayou Consulting, Carter Courier Service, Ella Event Planning, Polyclinical, Samuel Hamilton, T&D Tax, Tiffany Corner, Richmond Capital LLC, of course, Visible Evidence, and then Lou Wish, myself, Dad Chronicles as well. I think DJ's Enterprises, Sister Sonia Lowe and her husband, Brother Lowe, and if I forgot anybody else, please forgive me. But all of those people are going to be part of that event as well, have vendors and an Easter egg hunt, since it's going to be Easter time as well. And then lastly, look forward to, as of right now, my event, the Father's Day Walk. Dad Chronicles partnering with World Youth Foundation, and then also Life Jackets, Roy Dillard. We'll be having an event in June, a walkathon. It's called the Father's Day Walk for Life, where we're going to be looking to highlight the male role again, and also health and wellness of the men, and from a holistic standpoint, physically, mentally, and spiritually as well. It's something that we'll be doing. So those are just a few of the things that, have been publicized, and now either got canceled or we're going to postpone it. So just wanted to highlight those things. But appreciate you guys tuning in. It's another edition of the Reach Podcast Show. Dr. LaKisha Green is guest in studio today. Y'all look out for me next week. I'm going to have another couple of ladies going to be in studio, some partners of mine for the It Takes a Village event. Sister Cam and then Mira Teresa will be back next week. So appreciate you guys tuning in. I thought he was sitting over there.